Did you know that you have a personal toolkit for empowerment and that it's written right into the very fabric of our nation? Well, today we're going to unpack the Nigerian Constitution and show you the power it gives to every single one of us. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start with a real-world situation. Imagine an official tries to take your passport, but they don't have a court order. Can they do that? Is it legal? Just keep that question in the back of your mind because the answer is wrapped up in the rights we're about to explore.
So, where does this toolkit come from? It's straight out of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria. We're going to be focusing on Chapter 4, which is basically the master key to some of your most fundamental freedoms. And look, this isn't some dusty, abstract legal theory. These constitutional rights are active and alive. They shape everything from where you can walk to your private chats online. They've got your back in both the real world and the digital world.
So let's open up our toolkit and pull out the very first tool. This one is all about mobility, your freedom to move, and it's guaranteed by Section 41 of the Constitution. So what does this actually mean for you? Well, it means you have the right to travel anywhere you want within Nigeria. You can decide to live in any state you choose, and just as important, you have the right to travel abroad and come back home. It's a huge part of our personal and economic freedom. And that brings us right back to our opening question, doesn't it? Because you have this right to enter and leave the country. Taking your passport without a proper court order is almost always an unlawful violation of your rights under Section 41. The bottom line is, there has to be a legal process. Okay, time for our next tool. This one is all about our collective power, the freedom to connect. This comes from Section 40, which is your right to assemble and associate. You know, this right is really the engine of a healthy democracy. It's what protects your ability to gather with other people. Whether you're protesting a policy, forming a political party, joining a union, or even just being part of a community group. It's how all our individual voices can become a powerful chorus.
And here's a really important point. This freedom works both ways. Just like you have the right to join something, you have the right not to join. This quote makes it crystal clear. No one can legally force you into an organization against your will. That freedom of choice is protected.
Now, this is a super important distinction. The Constitution throws its full protective weight behind gatherings that are peaceful. But the moment an assembly turns violent, it steps outside of that constitutional protection. So this right definitely comes with the responsibility to be peaceful.
Our third tool is one that has become more critical than ever, especially in our digital age. Let's talk about your right to privacy, protected under Section 37. This is your right to have a part of your life that is just for you, and you alone.
The Constitution actually defines this right pretty broadly. Think of it like a shield around your personal space, your home, your family issues, your letters, and yes, your phone calls and your electronic messages. It protects you from unjustified interference.
And check out how this right has grown to protect us today. It's not just about physical letters anymore. The courts have recognized that your constitutional right to privacy covers your emails, your DMs on social media, your unique biometric data like fingerprints, and even your financial records. And this might be one of the most powerful ways this right applies to us today. I mean, your phone contains your entire life, right? So searching it without a warrant or some other legal justification, well, that can be a direct violation of your constitutional right to privacy. Okay, so we've talked about these incredibly powerful rights, but it's really important to get this next part. They aren't absolute. This is where rights meet reality. Let's look at the fine print in our constitutional toolkit, which is all about lawful restrictions.
Section 45 is the part of the Constitution that allows for limits on your rights, but, and this is a huge but, it can only happen when those limits are based on a law that is reasonably justifiable, and that's to protect big things like public safety or the rights and freedoms of other people.
So how do we know if a law is reasonably justifiable? Well, the key legal idea here is something called proportionality. The best way to think about it is like a balancing act. Any restriction on your rights has to be the right size for the problem it's trying to solve. You can't use a sledgehammer to crack a nut. So let's break this down into 4 simple questions. For any limit on your rights to be legal, it has to pass all 4 of these tests. First, is it actually necessary? Is there a real problem here? Second, is it suitable? Is this law actually going to fix the problem? Third, and this one's key, is it minimal? Is it the gentlest, least intrusive way to get the job done? And finally, is it fair? Does it strike a reasonable balance between the public's interest and your individual rights? If a law fails even one of these tests, it's probably unconstitutional.
Understanding this helps us bust some really common myths. So let's run through them. Myth: all protests are illegal. The fact is, nope. Peaceful protests are constitutionally protected. Myth: your right to privacy can block any and all police investigations. Fact: not at all. Lawful, justified investigations are always allowed. And the big one, myth: your online life has no legal protection. Fact: absolutely wrong. Your digital privacy is constitutionally recognized.
You know, the crucial point here is pretty simple. With great rights come great responsibilities. Knowing your rights is incredibly empowering, but using them wisely is just as important. That means planning protests to be peaceful, being smart about protecting your own data, and respecting the law as you move around freely. So let's do one last check of our empowerment toolkit. We've got Section 41 for movement, Section 40 for association, and Section 37 for privacy. We also have that critical Section 45, which makes sure any limits are fair and proportional. And wrapping it all together is our own responsibility to use these powerful tools wisely.
And that brings us to our final thought. It's a question I really want to leave with you. We've just gone through these incredible tools that you have at your disposal as a citizen. So the question isn't just what your rights are, but now that you know them, how will you use them?